Got dreams of being a professional podcaster, but have no idea what you're doing?
This is impossible.
That's about to change.
A new kind of school.
Welcome to the Pod School Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today I am answering a question that was sent to me via email from Pat, who wondered whether you need to wear headphones the entire time that you're interviewing your guest. And it made me think, you know what? I really just need to do a whole episode dedicated to the most important piece of equipment in your podcasting kit, your headphones. Not only do you need to wear them the entire time you're interviewing your guest, you need to wear them anytime you are recording anything. And it is always best if you've got a guest or a co-host that every single person who is having their voice laid down in the episode has a pair of headphones of their very own. It is a great idea if you are going to go and interview people or have guests on your show that your kit includes more than one pair of headphones. And my advice would definitely be that while it is okay for you to wear earbuds if you want to, that you try and get some over-the-ear headphones, because guests don't really like using headphones that might have some rando person's earwax in them. It's pretty easy to get cheap headphones these days that are decent quality, and really you don't need to be whipping out the old Beats by Dr. Dre. You can find a pair of headphones for $20 or $30 that are going to be just fine and do the job. It's just really important that you and your guests can hear yourselves and each other. On most recording devices and your laptop, wherever you're going to be plugging your headphones in, there will usually only be one headphone jack, so the little hole that you put your headphones in. So you'll probably need a headphone splitter, which will allow you to plug in more than one pair of headphones at a time. And if you head to the show notes page at podschoolpodcast.com/headphones, you'll see a little picture of what a headphone splitter is there if you've never heard of one or seen one before. So a few things I wanted to cover about why your headphones are so important. The first is that your headphones will make you a better presenter. I promise you, that might sound nuts because you're talking about something that goes over your ears instead of something that comes out of your mouth. But hearing yourself as your audience would hear you and will hear you is going to be one of the most important things when it comes to adjusting your performance style. If you're just talking into a room and you're talking into the microphone but you can't hear what that end product is, you're never going to be able to adjust your style and the way that you speak as well as if you are actually listening to it as your audience is going to hear it. You might think that sounds nuts, but I promise once you start to do it, it will really change the way you perform. And you should be very mindful of making those minor adjustments in the moment to make sure that you can use your voice more effectively when you're communicating. The more you can hear what you're sounding like at the end of those earbuds, the better you will be when it comes to changing your presenting style so that you sound great. You have to hear yourself as much as you might not like to do it. It's also going to really help your mic technique. I don't know if you've ever been to an event where you'll see somebody pick up a microphone and they'll be hanging it somewhere around their bosoms and nobody can hear anything, and you have to tell them every 5 seconds, excuse me, a bit closer to your mouth, please. When you've got headphones on, you will learn how close you need to be to a microphone to be heard, how you can move around the microphone to use it to your advantage. And when you have a guest on, them having headphones will help them work the same thing out as well. So the last thing you want to be doing is bugging your guest every 5 minutes saying, could you move closer to the mic? Sorry, you don't want any interruptions in the conversation. If you want to get the best interview possible, you want it to be rolling out naturally. You want all of those technical things to not be a worry. So having them wear headphones will help them to hear when they're on microphone as well and help their mic technique, and that will help your end product. It will also make your editing easier, I guarantee, because if you can hear stuff at the point when you're recording it, it means that you can stop and fix it rather than getting to the edit, hearing the audio file and thinking, oh my God, that sounds atrocious. Some of the things that can make it sound atrocious are wind noise. You are never going to pick up the sound of the wind as well in your naked ears as you will when you have headphones on. Your microphone picks up a lot more than your ears can hear. And let me tell you from experience that when you get an audio file back to your computer that has wind noise on it, the only place for it is the garbage. You cannot fix that in post. If it sounds like you are broadcasting from the bow of a boat in the roaring 40s, then that audio is finished. And if you've got a guest on, especially if you've got a really important guest or somebody you've been really wanting to get on your show, it's going to be pretty unprofessional if you ring them up and say, oh, you know how I tried really hard to get that time with you booked in? Oh, we're going to have to do it again because the audio's crappy. So anything that you can do at that time of recording to make sure that the file that you get at the other end sounds as perfect as it possibly can is going to help you immeasurably. Some of the other things that you will pick up in your headphones that you won't pick up with your ears are things like room noise. And by that I mean air conditioners, vending machines, car noise outside, all those things that you might not notice when you're sitting in a room, but when you have your headphones on, you'll know, okay, this vending machine or this refrigerator or this air conditioning or the people next door are too loud. I can hear it really loudly in my headphones, so we're going to have to move. So it can just mean that you'll save your audio at that point rather than having to wait until it's too late. The other thing which comes into mic technique as well that you'll notice when you've got headphones on is popping. That's when you say your P's and B's too hard into the microphone. It often happens when you're talking directly down the barrel of a microphone rather than slightly across it, but you'll be able to hear those pretty clearly and know whether you have to move back from the microphone a bit, because if you get a whole file full of pops, and having a pop guard will help to combat some of those, but it doesn't erase them completely. And if you are sitting in the edit at the end trying to take all of those out one by one, you'll never make the mistake of doing it again because it is a punish. So having your ears across that at the time can help you stop yourself and your guest from doing that. You can also be really mindful of the levels. So like a photograph that's overexposed, the same thing happens with audio. If you are too loud on the microphone, it's like an overexposed photo. You can't get any of that stuff back. Basically, the volume blows out and that file is unusable. If you're too low in your levels, you can always raise those levels up later. So you always want to make sure that your levels are never in the red when you're recording. And it's easy when you set yourself up to test those levels and to have a look at whether you're in the red. But in the moment of the conversation, sometimes you can really get overexcited, or your guest can get into something they're really passionate about and they can start yelling down the barrel of the microphone. If you've got your headphones on, you'll be able to monitor that really closely. And so if that happens, you'll be able to stop your guest or just ask them to do something again, or just if it's you, be mindful of being a bit quieter. Or alternatively, you can just ride those levels on your Zoom machine or on your audio equipment and try and turn them down a little bit as you're going, because you really don't want to get that file to the editing stage and have it be blown out and the levels too high, because then again, the only place that's good for it is the garbage. I cannot stress enough how much your headphones need to be your very bestest podcasting friend. It is not narcissistic or arrogant to listen to the sound of your own voice when you are in the business of creating audio. It is a necessity. You must hear what your audience will be hearing at the end stage of your recording. And that way you can just cut your trouble time in half by making sure that you are across everything that is being recorded at the time it is being recorded, not after the fact when it might be too late. So go and buy yourself a pair of headphones if you haven't got a set already. If you are going to have guests or co-hosts on the show, please make sure that you either ask them to provide their own headphones or you are a delightful host and bring a pair for them. I tell you, people love it when you turn up with your own headphones and you have a pair for them as well. They feel very, very grateful that you've gone to the trouble. Thank you so much, Pat, for your question. If you have a question that you would like answered on the podcast, just email me. You'll find the contact page at podschoolpodcast.com. If you're enjoying the show and you're finding the tips helpful, I would be very grateful if you would leave a review in iTunes or wherever you listen to this show. All right, off you go. Time to go buy a pair of headphones. I'll see you next week. And until then, happy podcasting.
That's all for today.